Hey.
It's a wild ride.
We are going to talk about the lockdown protest that happened in Melbourne on Saturday, September 5th, all right? So over the last couple of weeks, there's been ever-increasing agitation about the lockdown that Melbourne's been under, and to a lesser extent, the stage 4 restrictions that have been in place in regional Victoria. So we've had a lot of Liberal politicians in Victoria kind of use this whole thing to score points and kind of get themselves over.
Slam dunk.
Yep, slam dunks. So, you know, the media that is somewhat sympathetic to our Commonwealth ruling overlords have kind of jumped on this as well and basically used any opportunity to sort of dunk on the Labor Party in Victoria or Daniel Andrews. You know, how long is this going to go for? All that sort of shit. Yeah?
Yeah.
But it's not just the politicians who've been jumping all over this and getting sick of lockdown. Regular, good old Aussie silent dinkum shitheads have also been getting sick of being locked down, and so they decided to do something about it. A movement began for freedom protests.
My freedoms!
My freedoms, yes! So they started up Facebook event pages, and they're like, get on down to the
I love
shrine.
that. It's like just Facebook pages, because what other social platform are they on? No.
Well, you know, normally they would have taken something they'd photocopied down to the local newsagent and stick it in the window, but no one's going outside because of lockdown.
And the news agencies are closed.
Yeah, so it's the only way to kind of reach people. So they said, come on, let's get 500,000 people down to the Shrine of Remembrance this Saturday. They can't arrest us all. Turns out they can arrest some of you, and preemptively too. Thought crime. Only, not really thought crime, action crime, because if you go on Facebook and you say, hey, let's all break the law by protesting, that's technically an action crime, not a thought
Let's
crime.
call for crime. Not call for violence, but call for crime, right?
Call for crime.
Is that why they
Incitement.
arrested that pregnant lady?
Yes. So,
I love that we're all like, it's definitely worse or something because she's pregnant.
she had a baby inside her, yes. Yeah, well, the baby was arrested too. So they started arresting some of the agitators. The crime was officially incitement.
So this is people who were just on the internet saying that they're definitely going to protest. Is that right?
They weren't just saying protest. They were encouraging protest. They were saying, get on down. You know what? Celebrity former footballer buffhead Sam Newman himself also got a visit from the fuzz.
A noted, respected, and like integrables smart man, right?
Yes. A valued contributor to the social discourse, Sam Newman.
Do you ever think it's one of those things where, like, if his opinion is said and you're like, oh no, I have to, like, I don't want it to be anywhere near what you think?
Oh, do you mean if we accidentally agree with
Not
Sam
accidentally, because obviously, like, make an opinion based on whatever you reckon, based on the evidence. But, like, when he makes an opinion or a statement, you're just like, well, that's not anywhere near where you want to be. Like,
well,
if he's on your side, you might want to think twice, I guess is what I'm saying. If Sam Newman is saying stuff where you're like, you know, it's in and around what your movement stands for, you might want to think twice about it.
Well, I mean, his gimmick is basically being a belligerent jerk to people and stuff. That said, I didn't realise Sam is 74. Let's put a picture up. Bam. 74. So, you know, doing something right. You look fantastic, Sam. Good work.
I don't want to be on the side of Sam Newman.
As in, you've had good work. So, some people panicked. Some of the organisers and that, they're like, fuck, maybe don't come protest. But
just to be clear, these people are protesting what is necessary at the lockdown, right? So these are the people who we don't really have a measure on how many, but it feels like a lot more than there probably really is on Twitter.
Well, it wasn't 500,000, that's for sure.
But these are the people who are like part of the freedom movement that are like... It's insane. It's insane. It's crazy people who are adopting Americanized politics. They feel somehow like they're being oppressed when really their lives are being saved. Like, that's who we're talking about. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. We aren't the news. This is the dumbest shit ever.
Well, like all movements, it's sort of a potpourri of reasonable folks who just feel that, yes, there is a pandemic, but they feel that the restrictions and measures in place are disproportionate to the danger of the virus. That's one end. And we go all the way to the other end where they're like, oh my God, Bill Gates wants to shoot chips into my asshole that will give me 5G poisoning and coronavirus, lizard people, blah, blah, blah. And so...
We're probably skewing heavier on that side of things. Like, if you give them the most charitable view, these are people who think, like, the economy should open back up at the expense of people's lives.
Yeah, they're like, my shop's been ruined or whatever, and really your shop got ruined because the fucking government didn't give you a universal basic income while you couldn't operate. That's why you got fucked.
I think that's what doesn't make sense to me, is like why their anger goes towards other people instead of the government or like...
Well, it is towards the government.
I know, but it's in the wrong way where they endanger other people's lives.
Well, I think they've also seen the rest of the country start to get on with their lives, and they feel very jealous.
Yeah, but it's not the same situation, is it?
No, I mean, like, I'm jealous of South Korea getting back on with their life, but now their infections are going up. So anyway, a lot of people decided maybe they didn't want to protest now because, you only want to fight the power when there's no consequences whatsoever. So, congratulations to now becoming honorary black people and not allowed to protest things that you think are atrocious with impunity.
Maybe they'll have some empathy towards it.
No. So a lot of people, some people said the event is postponed. Some people pulled out altogether. Some people still in the movement said, you people are gutless cowards and I'm ashamed to be an Australian.
Did they do the thing where they could no longer advertise it on Facebook properly? Like I know with certain events that I attend, like they can't publish the location till the day and things like that where they try to basically like get around the police.
I think the event came down, but I don't know if that was because it got pulled down or they panicked and pulled it down because police were turning up, confiscating their phones and laptops.
It got real.
It got kind of real.
It's these are all the people who are like, they filmed all of them in their cars with wraparound sunnies attacking Daniel Andrews as a tyrant.
I don't know why they're always in the car, but there are a lot of them. But there's ever since phones had cameras on them.
Because their wives are like, shut the fuck up.
There's been a proud history of angry people cutting promos in cars. Like since you could do it on your phone, basically. People have started doing it. I don't know whether it's just started from people in traffic going, oh, this grinds my gears.
Is it somewhere where you're alone maybe, or you've just come from the thing?
I think you have the liberty to speak fairly loudly and crazily inside your car.
Yes.
Without drawing attention. I know as soon as I started driving those long late night drives at home and I realised that I could scream over and over again at the top of my voice.
Very liberating.
It is. It was cathartic and painful. It was good times. Anyway, the day of the protest comes. So we were promised 500,000 people at the Shrine of Remembrance and instead we got like a few hundred.
A smattering of weirdos.
Yeah, some people came down from interstate. There were interstate protests in solidarity of Victoria.
More people were in
Thanks,
Byron
guys.
Bay, right?
For fun. I think it was a lovely day out. So there were a few hundred protests. I don't know, like maybe 500. Not impossible it was 1,000, but certainly not thousands and thousands. And there were a lot of cops. Mm-hmm. There were regular cops. There were horsey cops. We always like the horse cops.
I love a horse cop.
Horse cop here. And then you're right. The SWAT
Mega
tactical
cop.
guys came out, and there were some arrests and some argy-bargy, but not heaps. To be honest,
compared to what I guess you're expecting. Like these people seem like. I assume these are similar or overlap in the Venn diagram of crazies of people who are attacking 5G towers and inciting violence,
Some,
right?
yes.
There is some overlap here. And like, I guess, don't know, most of them are actually like more bark than bite or something?
Possibly. Well, I think a lot of the barkers stayed home as soon as people started getting arrested for inciting the
Got too real.
Yeah, a lot of them backed down.
Well, were there key figureheads there or not?
Some and some
was
vanished.
our friend Thanos or anything?
Thanos, I think he was there briefly. He left. A couple of others sort of stayed on the periphery so they didn't get nicked. There were 15 to 17 arrests.
Like many modern movements, I'm assuming this doesn't really have a centralized figurehead, right? Like it's more of an amorphous collection of people with varying beliefs that kind of agree that they don't like the lockdown.
Yes, and of course they're not all on the same page. Like, I didn't see Pete Evans marching there. Maybe he was interstate. I'm not sure what he was up to.
Fell into the
he was probably in his mansion letting other people do his bidding for him. So there was some someone punched a cop, some cops squished some other people. There was like a Holocaust survivor there who was protesting. Other protesters were parading her around. She was part of the Holocaust. You've got to take it seriously.
Like wheeling her out.
Yeah, wheeling her out like Mark Latham's token Indigenous person. Yeah. So there was a bit of that going on. And then they all just wandered down to Albert Park. And to be honest, a lot of it felt like people who were just, keen to get out in the sun. Having some fun, having a bit of a laugh.
Having a bit of a protest.
Someone had the Aussie flag and he went down a slide. So I think there were definitely people there for whom it was an overwhelming passion, the most serious thing in their lives. And it was, it was a matter of the heart for them. And I think there were others who were like, oh, let's go check it out, let's go outside. And there were not enough masks for my liking.
Were they wearing, no, so not wearing masks?
No, and I think,
Did the organisers try to... Or because it's like antithetical to their movement, are they like, don't even worry about it,
I
man?
think
do they believe that it's real or not real?
Some do, some don't. Some think it's a total work. Some think it's, again, being shot into people's dicks from the 5G towers. You remember when the Black Lives Matter protests were happening, particularly in Melbourne, and people were like, well, you like these protests, but not the ones for our freedom. And I kind of countered with, yeah, but unlike the lockdown protest, the Black Lives Matter protesters aren't sort of built around the belief of there is no COVID, so whatever. And they all had masks and distance.
They're also protesting something that is like demonstrably real.
Yes.
I mean, that does make a smidge of difference when like it is a complicated choice to be like one protest is fine while one isn't. And I never thought in history that I would be the type of person to be like, protest, not good.
Maybe don't. Yes.
Yeah. Didn't think that, but here we are. So
yeah,
it's like you have to just start but this is the thing, right? All of these measures or all of these assumptions all start from a base level of, do you think COVID is fucking horrible or not?
Yeah, what do you reckon's real? And build from there.
And I hate that everybody gets to have an opinion on that. Like, I don't think you should get to necessarily, because, or at least your opinion shouldn't influence like where that goes. I mean, but I hear what that sounds like. I hear what that sounds like.
Some animals are more important than others, yeah. So I had the same reaction. I'm like, well, these people won't take the masking seriously or the avoiding infection seriously. And some people said, no, they will. And I watched, a combination of news footage and live stream footage from protesters. There were some masks, but there were also a lot of masks down past the nose, a lot around the neck, a lot of people with
today
none
on our
at
street,
all.
just people like a lot of no mask, a lot of the under the nose. It's like, come on.
The thing is, even if you believe that COVID is real, if you're walking alone and you don't wear a mask, you're not going to make anyone else sick and you're not going to get sick. Like, it's impossible unless, someone runs up and starts coughing at you.
Spores.
But these are hundreds of people mashed in together. And so they were pretty liberal with the masks and the social distancing. So it remains to be seen whether there'll be lots of sickness.
What's that town? I'll put the name of the town here, but I think it might be Colac.
Bethlehem.
It's not Bethlehem. Maybe it's happening in Bethlehem. But anyway, I think it's Colac. We'll put the proper name up here. I think there was one person with COVID, got 24 people sick. So this is that thing where it's fine until it isn't fine. And it's just by pure numbers that you happen to be fine. I just don't understand. Like, what is their argument? Did they think Daniel Andrews is like, good, lockdown, no taxes, the economy destroyed? Like, how is that good even for him? I don't understand. Like, how do you rationalize that you think that that's what he wants?
Yeah, if it was part of their grand evil plan, they wouldn't be rushing people back to work as soon as they can.
Yeah, why wouldn't he he would double down on the fucking, like, if you genuinely think he's like a dictator and he's trying to seize power, why would he be so fucking democratic about it? Why would he have like a host of like people on his side, like giving him advice? It just doesn't, like, what is your argument? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Some people just don't like being told what to do.
Okay, but that's a fucking terrible excuse for like making everybody else endangered.
Yeah, well, it remains to be seen how much danger there was, but that's basically my whole report on the lockdown protest. A few hundred people, handful of arrests, about 160 fines, general scathing critical coverage by the mainstream media, and...
But the other coverage, there were other protests around Australia though, that were bigger.
Yeah, but I didn't pay any attention to those.